I like that. It's pretty cute, huh?
Yeah.
That don't worry, that I won't be in there. I won't be in there. Here
You
we go.
can.
Oh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gunny G with Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with obviously with a special guest. But before I get there, go ahead and like and subscribe. Follow us everywhere you get your podcast, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, all that good jazz. And then on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you like to debate me, that'd be great. But we have a very special guest by the name of First Sergeant, newly promoted. Congratulations. William Zahorak. Oh, wait. My bad. Wrong one. No, that's not it. There it is. There it is.
You must have just started the show.
Give one.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I didn't know we were going to do sound effects like that. That's interesting.
You like that? How that caught you off guard, didn't it? All right. Hey, Will.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I know First Sergeant from way back when, so we're going to keep it a little bit unprofessional.
Informal.
Will. Informal. Yeah, I like that. Better word. Military. It's good. Informal. So, Will, go ahead and let the hearers of the listeners of the podcast, wow, I'm a little nervous too. Jeez. Anyways, the listeners of the podcast, the listeners of the podcast, where you're from, how long you've been in, all the good stuff that they want to hear.
Yeah, no, obviously, First Sergeant Zahorak. Right now, I'm a First Sergeant with 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion in Okinawa, Japan. I'm from just outside of Chicago, Illinois. So it's born in Hoffman Estates, kind of moved around a little bit with schools and my mom and all that stuff. But Addison is my home of record right now, Illinois. I've been in for about 16 years, started my career as an artilleryman, moved into the field of intelligence, did that for 12 years as a satellite imagery intelligence analyst. Decided I didn't want to do Marine Corps intelligence anymore and went the rank of First Sergeant instead of Master Sergeant. Just felt like if one thing was always going to remain the same in the Marine Corps, it was going to be taking care of Marines. And so that was a given for me to put First Sergeant down. So
where do I re-enlist again?
Yeah, I got plenty of career planners. It's great. We're going to be all right.
That was sweet, Will. That was sweet.
Well, it's the truth. As we get into the subject, the truth is really what we're going to get down to. I got you.
Absolutely. Okay. Oh, okay. Will, take it easy now. Take it easy. Where are you at right now? You said you're in Okinawa, Japan?
Yeah, in the middle of this wonderful typhoon. Yeah.
I know. I see the news. I'm sorry about that. It's ruining your weekend.
Great duty station. That I could get fired for that, but that's okay.
Yeah, you can.
No, I'm kidding.
It is a great duty station for one island, I guess.
Yeah, if it's your realm of preferences. If you want to live in a third world country, go for it.
So let's get into it. Well, where do we meet? Go ahead and let the listeners know. Where do we meet at?
You and I met as drill instructors. I think I was on my first or second year as a drill instructor when you got to the depot, and we were both in the same company there. Worked on the same team several times at different capacities, but that was where we first met. And if anybody knows, like those relationships are definitely close relationships because of having to be with the same people over and over and over again for that 3 years. So some of my greatest friends came from artillery, and some of my greatest friends came from the drill field. You happen to be one of the ones that came from the drill field. So, don't hit a button. I feel like you're not. You got to label your buttons before you start hitting them.
Sometimes I do it on purpose. Sometimes it's accidental. But this instance, it's definitely on purpose. Lighten up the mood a little bit. Okay, so we met as hats. Those stories will be for later time off air, right? Yeah. But I'm glad that you take your time to be on the podcast. I appreciate it very much, and I think the Marines at the lowest level would like to hear, even though you're still brand new First Sergeant, right? You're still getting your feet wet a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
No, of course. I mean, being humble is important. Yeah, I picked up First Sergeant a month ago. Marine Corps deems I'm good enough to be a first sergeant, so hopefully I can provide a little bit of information
Absolutely.
on what
Agreed.
we're going to talk about.
So, so the young Marines at the lowest level possible want to know, obviously, right? We all deal with stressors. We all deal with, whether it be Marine Corps stressors or outside stressors, life stressors,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, right? But we all deal with it. And the one thing that is common for all of us, people, not just Marines, right? People, is we experience toxic leadership at
Mm-hmm.
different levels in our career, at different points in our career, right? Whether it be at McDonald's or a first sergeant in the Marine Corps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's start with the definition, your definition, right? Because there's no right or wrong answer. There's a Webster's dictionary
Yeah.
answer for it, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a uh, personal definition of toxic leadership. You.
Yeah, that's difficult to me because toxic leadership can be intentional and it can be unintentional. A lot of people don't know they're being toxic, and then quite a few people know they're being toxic. So it's something that you and I kind of pulled off the depot is when you have someone, a person that's having issues, they kind of fall into two categories for me. It's whether they're willing or whether they're capable. If you have someone who's capable and he's not willing, that's malicious. And to me, that becomes a level of toxic leadership. In this case, that it's malicious toxic leadership. It's something that they know they're doing, and they're doing it on purpose. They're using, whether it's their rank or their position, to their advantage to, I don't know, to get them off with this little Napoleon complex, this power trip. I don't know where that comes from. But then there's willing and not capable. I think as the Marine Corps evolves and we reach ebbs and flows within the Marine Corps or just in pure life, people have to get promoted. Also, people have to leave, but people do have to get promoted. And sometimes we do find ourselves in a juxtaposition based off of the construct of numbers where we don't necessarily agree with the people getting promoted, or they get promoted too soon. We see that a lot with
Hmm.
meritorious promotions, whether it's junior Marines looking up to a sergeant who's toxic or a staff sergeant who's toxic. I think they're willing to be a leader. They're just not capable in that moment because they lack the skills uh, to be a good leader. So there's onus on the senior leadership to identify and take care of that. But yeah, so what is toxic leadership? I think it's any type of leadership style that ends up hurting uh, your subordinates in a way they're having a hard time have a
Hmm.
hard time recovering from, or creating a virus that does that to other people as well. So I
Okay.
know that's a really vague definition on what toxic leadership is, but I can't just come out there and go, oh, it's bad. You know what I mean? So, but it is. It is. It's just bad people doing bad things, or people doing bad things and they don't realize they're doing them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is the organization, can the organization, whatever organization, not just,
Yeah.
we're
Any
obviously Marines, so
organization.
any organization, is that the
Hmm.
organization's fault as a whole, or is that
No.
just people as a whole?
No, I think when you deal with something like the Marine Corps and as diverse as it is, you have 167,000 different people coming from 167,000 different ways of life. I mean, the way people live in Illinois is different from the way we live in Massachusetts or the way you live in California, and I get that. So we break it down into a little bit more specific cultures, but you have 167-ish, give or take, on any given day, 1,000 different people. They're not all taught how to be leaders as kids. I mean, the majority of our force is what, 21 years of age. They came into the Marine Corps when they're 18, 17 years old. They barely know how to be a grown human being.
Hmm.
Parents did what they could. Even if you come from a decent household, parents do what you can up until 17, 18, and then they come over here and they're now the responsibility of someone who was in that situation, what, 5, 6, 10 years ago, depending on what level of leadership we want to talk about. So it can be very quickly a situation where blind is leading the blind, and that is the I'm willing but I'm not capable.
Okay.
However, you do have
Did,
people that come in a little older and they're aggressive. So there's what it is.
so you were talking about blind leading the blind.
Yeah,
Is that why maybe you went the first time right? Because you did say,
yeah,
you know, earlier
yeah.
today or earlier this morning, a
Well,
couple minutes
because
ago.
I think we overcomplicate leadership, and it was a passion of mine to just be a good dude. I mean, I think a lot of us have heard that. They go, what's the rule? What's the rule? What's the rule? Well, the rule is just be a good dude or dudette. Just be a good person. If you don't have the moral background to be a good person, then you have no business being a leader. That's the capable and not willing piece, right? But
So is
it's
that, hold
not
on,
hard.
is that what right looks like to you? Or is that a general basis statement
I'll
like
tell
that's what
you,
right looks like?
it's what's worked for me. Being a
Hmm.
good person, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, goes a long way. Now, uh, yeah, I come from a faith background. I'm Christian through and through. Um, so I do have a foundation in which I lead, and
Right.
I do have a way that I'm to treat people, and I do understand what servitude is, and I know a lot of people think leadership is power, but leadership is not power. Leadership is responsibility. It's servitude. It's actually uh, if you see the product of it and you find joy in the product, it can be joyful. But servitude is not joyful. It's hard work. It sucks a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
But you have to find the joy in it. You have to find the joy in the product. And when people come up to you and they appreciate what your leadership is. So I don't think that is nothing that I'm saying is going to be by definition what Webster's dictionary is going to say. But yeah, for me, this is what has worked. And for me, this is what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I know that firsthand. We've experienced a little bit of toxic leadership,
No.
excuse me, a couple years back, right? And how did you learn? How did you learn from those experiences, right? Because I would say, and I'm just being frank here, a lot of alpha males, alpha males and females go to the depot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you're alpha, you think, at least you think you're alpha, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it creates a little bit of an imbalance. And again, the organization, I don't think it's at fault. The people are,
No.
right? And so when we go there, we experience a little bit of a rough around the edges, so to speak, people. And again, you saying blind leading the blind, they might be those 22-year-old devil dogs that
No.
are, on paper, good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they presented a product, and the Marine Corps is saying, as a product, as an organization, you seem to fit the part of a whatever job that you do. And we've experienced firsthand in those situations. How did you come from this now to where you're at now? How did those experiences help you out? Because I'm just going to be honest with you. Every single drone strike will tell you that is a perfect place to learn about toxic leadership. And I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest, it is.
No, that's true.
You learn it real firsthand right away, especially on your first cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You just learn it. It's not even it's on purpose. It's almost like accidental, right?
Yeah.
But how did those firsthand experiences help you mold you as Will as now a newly promoted first sergeant,
Yeah.
at a brand new unit, Okinawa, Japan?
Yeah. So first, like the Marine Corps has this unique issue where it loves the way it makes Marines, but the depot, it's why we bring psychology into drill instructor school. And we talked about the Dr. Z's prison study that he did in at the, Stanford University. Like, it's hard to get the product the Marine Corps wants and not have this fishbowl of toxicity, because
Yeah.
we do send the best of the best the best we possibly can find and send to the depot to be drill instructors to make the next generation of Marines. I think the problem is that, and you've seen the Marine Corps pay a lot of attention to it. I wouldn't say the problem. The Marine Corps definitely understands that is a very fragile ecosystem at the depot, and that's why you see the Marine Corps pay a lot of attention to it all the time. I mean, we used to get visited by the Commandant and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps twice a year on the dot. They would always come down, check up on the depot, because it is a very fragile ecosystem of how we build a recruit into a Marine, and how we take guys and girls that are just 4 years into the Marine Corps, and we allow them to literally take control of 92 people. So that's a tough thing for the Marine Corps to take care of in itself. And then good and bad leaders, obviously, that evolves the way it evolves, but every leader, regardless of whether they're good or bad, is an example. And there's somebody that you can put in your toolbox, what they've done in your toolbox, and either choose to do things that they did or choose to not do the things that they did. So yeah, I ran into toxic leaders, both peers and um, uh, senior leaders in the company. Um, they were just checks in the box of the things that I didn't want to become and the things that I didn't want to do. It made me want to push even harder to not repeat those same things. So, when I ran a team on the depot, I didn't do the things that I had done to me by senior drill instructors or chief drill instructors or even company first sergeants. I didn't do those things because those things were immature and they were stupid. And they made that very clear when I had to go through those. So we have to make a decision too not to repeat the problem. And that's based on maturity. If you're not able to make those mature decisions, I hope one day you either grow from that or, again, the process does work. You're weeded out. So good and bad examples are both examples.
I think it just takes time, right?
Yeah.
You reap what you sow, for sure. Especially in any organization you join, you reap what you sow. So everything always comes, to the fold, so to speak. But that definitely goes into my next point. It does exist within the ranks. You said it yourself. It did it with the peers. You did it with your peers, your superiors in billet, right, at the company level. Throughout the Marine Corps, I think, where have you seen it the most in your short time in the Marine Corps? It is short compared to others, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the Marine Corps 16 years, and I think there's an even spread as you go through the ranks. I will say this, and I know that there may be those that disagree with it, but as I've become a first sergeant, I've had nothing but good experiences so far. Now I know, and I have met people that are toxic, and I have met people that just have these bad attitudes, but we do run into a situation at first sergeant or mass sergeant where we start to get guys that are on the verge of retirement. So how much effort they put towards people other than themselves tends to dwindle, right? And that's what leadership's about. But you also just have crappy people. So look, I going to first sergeant school, and we are trained and we're given the information to know what right and wrong looks like. I know for a fact the Marine Corps is going in a direction to remove this toxic, even in my community as first sergeant major, this toxicity that lingers amongst or that has lingered amongst sergeants major and first sergeants, where we're all competing for a fit rep, or you have senior guys that won't allow junior first sergeants or junior sergeants major, talk to them or ask them questions. Again, I think that the majority of those things are things of the past. It's definitely not what's being preached at higher headquarters when you go to these larger schools. So I think that the organization as a whole is doing its best to eliminate the human factor, which is just being a bad person sometimes, right? So
that's good. That's good. So what type of influence are you provided at the school that you're gonna, if you're provided any, what type of influence you're gonna provide as a first sergeant in Okinawa, Japan? What type of influence have you provided in terms of helping Marines against toxic leadership, right? Before first sergeant, and how do you see yourself helping those same people or individuals moving forward through now the new rank that you wear in your color?
So I said before, like there's 167-ish thousand people in the Marine Corps. A large percentage of that, over half, is junior enlisted. I think what the Marine Corps has written down perfectly is talent management, and it just needs to be executed, because talent management is hard to do black and white. It takes a good person, it takes a good leader to actually push the program through. So you'll have incidences where young Marines maybe just aren't hacking it in a community. They did initially through basic training, but as more training comes through, or more advanced training comes through, it becomes complicated. It becomes something that they either don't have the passion for, they're not capable of doing anymore. Instead of throwing those Marines at the chow hall on a FAP time and time again, instead of throwing those Marines and where we put our trash, quote unquote, Why are we not counseling, recycling, reclassing, or administratively separating for the good of the human being? Uh, some people, being a Marine was easy through boot camp, and now they hit the fleet, and being a Marine is just not. It's not exactly not what they thought, because I'm not worried about necessarily what you think all the time. It's not what they're capable of doing.
Hmm.
If we run into those cases, we have to be better leaders in managing that talent, not cutting losses, but understanding maybe the best thing for this person is to do a different job in the Marine Corps, or not to be in the Marine Corps at all. But that takes hard work, and sometimes we stray away from the hard work. We have to do the hard
Yeah.
work, and we have to do the hard work for the betterment of the human being.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just takes a lot of mentorship. And that's difficult too, because the individual, the onesies, the twosies that we're having issues with, they do drain a lot of focus from the majority. And if you have a 120 man company and you're first sergeant so-and-so sitting up there and your attention's drained to the one or two issues, I mean, that's what you get paid for. That's the best thing I could say.
Okay. So, do you consider what you wear on your collar uh, at the forefront of your leadership, or is it just some roles and responsibilities you have to fill as more senior dudes?
I think that being a first sergeant, right? The Marine Corps is a huge advocate for customs and courtesies, man. You've heard it through your entire career. There is a legacy I have to live up to as a first sergeant. There is an example that I have to set, a baseline example that I have to set, that the Marine Corps wants me to set as a first sergeant. I do have to lead by example. I do have to live with honor, with courage, with commitment. I know that sounds corny, but like it's really that simple. And that's simplicity sometimes brings out the corniness, but it's that simple. You have to live with honor, you have to live with courage, you have to live with commitment. So there's a legacy about being a first sergeant. So yeah, it is something on my collar that I want to live up to. I don't want to let my community down, but it's bigger than that. It's me. I don't want to stand in front of my God one day and answer to him about how poorly or badly I treated somebody,
Hmm.
or how you used that rank on your collar to take advantage of somebody. Uh, it's bigger than the Marine Corps. It always is. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than the Marine Corps. It's bigger than anything. It's humanity. And that's, I guess, where the passion comes from. That's where the willingness to live up to the legacy comes from. That's the driving force. It's humanity.
Yeah. Okay. So, I know that it'll never go away. I
Mm-hmm.
know that. And it's always going to be there. What are some tools that you can provide the young folks that are listening to you right now? Uh, it may be the ones that want to be in your shoes eventually, maybe the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are going to go the other way, math aren't right, a technical expert.
Mm-hmm.
Provide some tools, maybe some examples of how you tackled this type of leadership, right? Obviously, you can't pinpoint, you can't
Yeah.
name it with one person, but give them some tools. Like, how can you better prepare yourself as an individual
Yeah.
in that situation?
You know, if you and I know some of these people listening are 18, 19
Hmm.
years old. They've probably been through very
So
little.
my demographic, actually, it's funny you talk about, are 28 to 35.
Well, good.
My
So then
demographic.
they know what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah.
Look, life moves on. I know that that is a cutter answer, but
Wow.
life moves on. I
I'm
mean, look
definitely
at,
writing my next question down.
yep, we have the most significant events in our life. Like, look at if it's a death of a family member, um, if it's a divorce. Um,
Hmm.
Look, I love my wife to death, and she lost her mother a little less than 10 years ago. But the pain is still there.
Hmm.
The gap is still there. Um, what has filled that gap is how close her siblings have gotten over the mourning of her mother. Now, I won't say she's ever going to get over her mom, but life has moved on. And she deals with her mother's passing a lot better today, obviously, as she did when her mother passed. It's the
Hmm.
same thing when you encounter these negative people that that do have power over you, that do have a position over you. It's a willingness to be involved in that situation, do the best you can to make the best of it for yourself and for those around you, but also take notes. Take notes. You might be taking notes for a couple of years. My timelines with leadership don't always match up perfectly, right? I have a 2-year time here at Third Reconnaissance. That doesn't match up perfectly with the young Lance Corporal. That Lance Corporal probably is out of here in the next 6 months to a year and a half, and I'm out of here probably in comparison to others in the next year and a half when they come. So you don't have to put up with somebody for an entire 3 years all the time. But it's a good time to take notes and know what you don't want to do in the future. On top of that, when it does end, understand that you had a direct influence over your subordinates. So no matter what it could be the Commandant or the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps does to you as a lower level leader, as a Lance Corporal, a Corporal, a Sergeant, a Staff, I mean, you can go on. As a Staff Sergeant, I have control over my company. So if my Sergeant Major wants to be toxic, if my battalion commander wants to push down toxic guidance, toxic leadership, I am the filter. I am the system. I can affect my company. So I tell corporals and sergeants all the time, like, you only have as much power as you take. So I tell them, like, you affect your platoons. If I'm toxic, yeah, they're going to feel it, but they're going to feel it twice or 3 times as much if every sergeant and every staff sergeant is toxic as well. That's why we have to take notes. We have to continue to be ourselves in the best way possible and be the best people we can be to our subordinates, because you're going to face that toxic leadership. You're right. It's not going away.
Good. You mentioned life goes on.
Yeah.
Life goes on. It's very important that we understand as adults, right? Whether you're 18, 35, 25, 47, however long you're in this gun club, right? You got to understand that you're right. We do rotate every 3 years or 2 years, or depending on the contract, however long you rotate for. But when do we say something? Or we just let it happen and take notes and take notes? And then at what point is it our responsibility to say, stop, that's enough, man? Like, behind closed doors, dude, like, you ain't being a good dude right now, dog. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? At what point, what breaks the camel's back, so to speak?
Yeah. No, that's...
For you.
So I think that for most people, that's easier to do, stand up and say something amongst their peer group. A lot of other people kind of feel helpless, as in my case, I know that the Lance Corporal is not going to walk into my office, and then he may. And if I come into the Lance Corporal that's willing to walk in my office and tell me I'm being a terrible human being, like, good on him. But you could see people standing up for what's right among their peers. Here's the thing. I got peers too. There are far fewer of my peers, but I have peers too. If we're holding our peers accountable, if the good person is standing up within their peer group, all levels of leadership should be taken care of, for the most part. Unless you just have a terrible unit where every single first sergeant, every single master sergeant is just a terrible human being. I mean, that's a possibility. However, more times than not, there's a bad egg. There's or a couple bad eggs.
We won't be specific in that.
Yeah, you gotta stand up amongst your peer group, and I think that's going to take all of those levels. So and also to remember, like, we're all adults. If you can't have an adult conversation with somebody, that's the first step. Okay, cool. It's not received well. And you want to keep up with the traditions of the Marine Corps. You don't want to belittle this leader in front of the Marines, because you can cause other problems. We have to know that the Marine Corps does put things in place to level the playing field, to address issues. And I don't want to get into those cookie cutter issues like IG this and request mass that. I mean, we all know those. We get those classes all the time. But I want to talk about the human, perspective to all this. Is like, stand up, be a good dude, be a good example. And if you got someone who's acting pretty shitty, to pull them aside and go, you're behaving, you're out of your mind. That's going to do a lot. And then dig into why that person is being that way. A lot of times there's other things that are happening behind the scenes that we take into work, divorce,
Yeah.
you know, we lose someone in our lives and we're going through a mourning period and we're not necessarily the best version of ourselves. Like the Marine Corps is a human business. We've got to think on the human factor before we do anything black and white. We got to think on the human factor.
Yeah.
So
does that make you, so my next point here. I didn't share this point with you, but
yeah.
Is that the difference between a good and a great Marine? Or a good and a great person, right? Just a person, because we're obviously, before we got in this organization, we're people, humans, right? And after we leave, we're still humans, right? We're still people. So is that the difference between a good person and a great person?
First of all,
is that,
your questions are too good. You're asking really good questions. Yeah, I
here,
don't
let
mean
me
to cut you
elaborate a
off.
little bit. Let me break it
Go
down a
ahead.
little bit more, right? So when I talk about a good person,
Yeah.
you say, yeah, we're just gonna rotate out. At my level, I can affect this. I'm a good person. I'm not gonna say anything because I'm
Yeah.
a good, reasonable person. But on the flip side, does that make you a great person, right? Because let's use an example. We've all went to high school. Well, the majority of us had to, right? Or at least got a DAD. But high school, right? I'm walking through the hall. You see that one person that just hangs out with himself all the time, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has their cliques. The good person says, I won't talk about him or her, even though they are. I'll keep my mouth shut because it's not right. Then I'll move it on, right? Or the great person says, I walk up to her or him and say, how's it going, man? I can see out of the corner of my eye, or I can see that this is happening to you. Let me stop and give you some time.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
different? Is that the same? Is that what you're talking about here between a good and great Marine, right? We'll just rotate out, not say anything. I'll handle it at my level. It's respectable. I'm commendable. I'm a reasonable
Yeah.
guy. Or is it between a great Marine? Hey, look, dude, I know this is going on with you. Dog, this ain't it.
Yeah. So being a
Because we're
good
all men
person.
at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Well, I mean, we learned this within the pipeline, man. The goal is to
Mm,
make a Marine, but to make a good Marine, to bring them back into civilization, right? The civilian sector as a better person. So being a good Marine, being a good person, that's synonymous. Being a great Marine, being a great person is also synonymous. There's different levels of good, different levels of great, but what we can't do is belittle how powerful being simply a good person can be to other people.
mm,
And yeah, it could easily be taken as this corny answer to all of our problems. Like, oh, I got to just be a good dude. Yeah, that's powerful. Like, you can just be a good dude, and you can
yeah,
really fix so much out there. You can really just be a good person and save someone from committing suicide. It is that powerful. It really is.
yeah,
So we can belittle it. I'm not saying you did, but like listeners out there, you can belittle it and you can say, that's not. There's got to be more. There's got to be more. Yeah, there is more. There's a million and one different ways to do anything. I'm
yeah.
telling you that what is working for me and what I'm saying is the most effective thing in my 16 years is being a good person and serving other people, realizing this is not about me. I did not pick up First Sergeant to better myself, right? Maybe that's 10%. I do want a retirement. I do want to stay in the long haul. I do want to make my retirement. I do want to live as a retired human being comfortably, and I do want the legacy of being a Marine. I do want a legacy of being a Marine Corps Sergeant Major one day. Of course, there's a percentage of that is for me, but that's not the majority. The 99% of the reason why I stay in, the reason why I decided to do the career is for everybody else. Um, Waking up for me ran out like Sergeant Corporal. The time where I had to think about reenlisting, if I woke up for myself that very next day when it came time to reenlist, I was just going to be going through the motions, the 9 to 5 through the second enlistment.
Mm,
And then we all know that if you hadn't had the come to Jesus moment about waking up for yourself by that 8-year mark, Now you're just a zombie going through the next 12 years of your career at minimum.
Yeah.
You have to wake up for something bigger than you, and it has to be the people around you. So yes, I don't want to belittle how powerful being a good person is, and really focus on what being a good dude is versus being a great dude, or what being a good Marine is versus being a great Marine. You become a great Marine by being a good Marine. You become a great person by being a good person. It will evolve. You will, when you start molding your focus into other people, and just living by those basics, you become the
Hmm.
advanced version of yourself. And you will become an unbelievable human being, an unbelievable Marine, if we just live by what I've seen is just to be a good person to start. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
I think that's why I use that to start.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's good, Will.
Yeah.
So I just some quick little side notes, right? You, as a leader, I think we could both agree we got to figure out why people want to be here.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first. I think that's the first step. As more senior, right? You're more senior than I am.
Hmm.
I'm relatively new in this gun club still. I think 13 years of active service is not enough for me to say I am a good leader.
Yeah.
I am a developing leader, right? And I, as an individual, as Israel, as a man, I have my flaws, right? But it's all we got to figure out why people want to be here.
Yeah.
And second is you got to think of, I hate using kids, I hate using brothers and sisters, moms and dads as an analogy, but we used it
Yeah.
in San Diego and it worked really well, right? We use that kind of thinking, right? If my peers, Lance Corporals and below, are just my brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
I never really hung out with my big brother
Hmm.
as corporals and sergeants, right?
Yeah.
My big brother didn't want me to. I didn't want my little brother around me. I know
Yeah.
that, right? Because he was kind of embarrassing. I don't want. Go
Yeah.
hang out with your little friends, dude. Like this is like big bro world, right? You'll get there eventually,
Yeah.
right? And then you think of staff NCOs and officers as moms and dads. I hate to use this analogy, but it works well. Is then you got moms and dads, right? You're not listening to your big brother. Oh, that's your fault, homie. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want me to do? He told you to clean your room and you did it, and now he's mad at you. Like, how is that my problem, right?
Yeah.
He went through your room this other day and you had trash in it. As a parent, I'm telling you to take out trash and you don't do it. It's kind of like, okay, well, your big brother got it, right? But
Yeah.
anyways, as I explain this, is you got to think, right? And we're in a position when you're gonna have a kid pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Yes, child.
I have a
Um,
12-year-old and
when
I'm gonna have a daughter. Yeah.
that's right, that's right.
Hmm.
And when do you love your kids?
All the time. You
Oh,
love your kids
right,
all the time. Yeah. It's
right, all the time.
pretty basic.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, right? It's. I hope you. I was hoping you said the right answer because this would have been bad
Yeah. Yeah. But
otherwise.
like only
But
when they're behaving.
always,
Yeah.
right? So you love your kids always, right? There's always the times where you feel like you don't,
Yeah.
but that's a feeling. But you
Yeah.
always love your kids, right? When do you love Marines?
Yeah. No.
Always.
Wait. Same thing with the brother thing, right?
Yeah.
So you always love your brothers and your sister. You might have to take the mature mentorship role with your younger siblings. I mean, some people have that construct where they're the older sibling and they have to take, like my brother has delved into the world of drugs for as long as I could have remembered, and he struggles with that. He's recovering. He's definitely not a mentor, and I'm not trying to crap on my brother. I love my brother very, very much, but I know that I am a mentor to him as his younger brother, and I'm almost 10, 15 years younger than he is. Um,
Yeah.
so mentorship comes in many different ways, shapes, and forms. It's not dictated by age. It's not dictated by position over anyone. I learn things from my Marines every single day. Like, I mean, walk into the recon community, you think I know how recon does do recon, and I have no idea, which makes it so much more important to be humble and to like be willing to be a sponge and learn about their life. Their community is awesome. The customs and courtesies, the traditions that they do, you definitely have to learn that, be part of the family, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's look, we got to go back. Like the Marine Corps is a family. It really is. It's a family. When I go see a peer of mine, I shouldn't feel like I'm stiff armed. I shouldn't feel like I'm the stranger in the room. I should feel like I've been embraced with open arms. When I got
Yeah.
to my battalion, there was a peer of mine who has been there for 6 months who took me in as if I knew him for 15 years. Like that's what this is about. This, to embrace each other like brothers and sisters, to love each other the way you love your family, to love your brothers, your sisters, your mothers, your father, all of it. That's
Good,
what
man.
it's about.
Yeah. It's brilliance in the basics.
It is.
That token little phrase that
Yeah.
we hear or the young Marines don't hear, right? Or they don't know, but it is brilliance in the basics, man. It's just, are you gonna talk to me like that or what? Like, is that what you expect out of me? Because
Correct.
if that is, then I'll give it to you. I'll just give it to you a whole lot better. You know what I mean? Like,
Look, if you don't want me calling you a bitch, I suggest you don't call other people bitches, right? And it's I know that that's funny, and I know that there's something to that, but like some people have to hear that. If you don't want me talking about talking about women a certain way too, like that's something I don't do. That doesn't make me any less of a man because I don't talk about women inappropriately in the workplace, or because I don't like that locker talk. Even if my door's closed and I'm just hanging with my peers or my friends, I don't like talking that way. There's a million and other different subjects to talk about rather than the most disgusting of them, which is, how we choose to treat women or guys, women, and their friends, and what they choose to say about other guys. Like, stuff's not only is it not welcome, it doesn't belong in this organization, and I hope there are more people like me that are willing to get rid of those negatives. Those negatives are toxic. They don't build brotherhood. They don't build sisterhood. They don't build camaraderie. They tear it down, because now you're second guessing what the quality of that human being is. And shoot, maybe apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You're just a group of terrible people doing a bunch of terrible things. But you will eventually get caught. I'm telling you this right now. You will eventually get caught. Your pinnacle will stop, and there's got to be faith in that too.
That's good. That's good. Well, I appreciate you taking I appreciate you taking time to come on this session. You talk about locker room talk. This ain't locker room talk. This is pit talk, homie. This is what we talk about in the pit. So
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you taking the time, Will. And again, ladies and gentlemen, toxic leadership is not going to go away.
No.
We can better prepare ourselves, give ourselves our tools, ask the right questions, and if you don't know the questions, just ask the question in general.
Yeah.
I'm sure the question that you ask is not. It might sound dumb to you, but it'd be well, appropriate. Excuse me, it'll be appropriate for somebody else, and it might be appropriate for somebody else. So I think you should definitely ask the question. If you don't know, you don't know, but you don't get fed if you don't ask, right? The kids don't eat if they don't say nothing. Sure, I'm obliged to make morning, lunch, and dinner, breakfast and dinner, but on the weekends, if you ain't saying nothing, I'm sleeping, and I'm having a coffee with my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't saying nothing, I ain't gonna cook you on the weekends. You know how to make a bowl of cereal every once in a while.
You need to preface that you have older kids. You need to tell me, hold on, I have older kids. They're capable of cooking and making food. Just like a 5-year-old running around starving. That's not what that is.
Even then, actually, Aria, my youngest, right? You've never met her, actually, huh?
No. I remember her being a baby.
Actually, on a lighter note, Will, we're pregnant again.
Oh my gosh, you need to stop. That's too many. Oh my word. Hey, you could have me on another podcast in the future talk about overpopulation. I'm going to ask you the questions. Goodness gracious.
Dude, so we had Aria in Hawaii, right? So, yeah, thanks, man. So funny thing you talk about is it's like we weren't expecting any more kids, right? And even though we prayed about it, we did our thing about it. We, in secret, we were like, we're gonna have more kids. And then we came to the conclusion as adults, as husband and wife, we're like, if it does, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're okay with that because somebody has a bigger plan for us, right?
Yeah.
And so, and all of a sudden, we drank some water in Hawaii, salty water, and sure enough,
stop it.
We got pregnant, and hold on. And she came in Hawaii, right? And I was like, holy mackerel. So Aria has a meaning, right? God answers prayers. That's what her
Yeah.
name means. So that we had to give it to her, right? And we're like, dang, yeah, that's crazy. And all of a sudden, ding, 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 ding. You know, when you hit that stupid carnival
Yeah.
and it goes up again.
Yeah.
But we got pregnant again in Hawaii twice. So
Yeah.
the water must have been good, right? So it must have
Okay.
been good.
Well, also let's power in the basics. Yeah, 1 + 1 is going to equal 2. So, you know,
So it was a blessing. Even though Hawaii in itself, the island is very
yeah.
beautiful,
Hmm.
right? Would I go back? Sure, if the Marine Corps tells me to go back, right? I will gladly go back. But if it doesn't, I would definitely, my options are open to other than
Yeah.
Hawaii. I'll tell you that. But it definitely brought its blessings for sure.
Yeah.
Aria and then my boy that's coming. I can't say the
Wow.
name yet because obviously you know how women get with the names and this whole baby thing. But
Oh
anyways,
man. Yeah.
you're doing
October 31st.
October 31st.
Yeah.
Hey, make sure that you send me the baby registry, right? I'll post it on to all the followers
Yeah,
and
we posted it on Facebook, but yeah, I'll send you the baby registry for sure.
yeah, absolutely send me and then I'm just gonna blast it wide so
Oh
everybody can buy you
goodness.
something.
Well, I
I hope
appreciate that.
somebody buys you something that you don't even know. I hope somebody buys you something that you don't even know.
And it'd be
Right?
hard to
That person's
surprise my
like
wife. She's
anonymous
out
to you.
there buying pacifiers with grills and stuff. Yeah, about to make my daughter look ridiculous. But yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
hey, this is her first, right?
This is my wife's first child. Yeah.
Oh, and it's a girl.
Girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna be wrapped around. You are gonna
Oh,
be
for
wrapped
sure.
around your
No,
finger.
this is a good thing for me. I need to be taken care of for the rest of my life. I worry for her, but I'm good. Like we are solid. Daddy's girl.
Yeah.
I'm wrapping myself around her finger. We're good.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's
Yeah.
good. Are you getting
Yeah.
or are you
Jeez. I don't
or are
know.
you
I
going for
think
some
I
more
think
later on?
no, we're gonna have one more. I think we're gonna try for one more.
That's good.
Again,
Don't be
God's plan.
selfish.
But we'll
Don't be
see.
selfish.
That's
If
like
you're
I
we're
don't
talking
even.
spiritual, I'm
I
pretty
love my
sure he
sign.
says go out. I'm pretty sure he says go out and multiply. That's what he says.
Yeah.
And you're not doing
I'm
that. You're
gonna
being selfish. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna multiply good leaders. He wasn't very specific. He just said go out and multiply. I'm gonna multiply good leaders. I'm gonna multiply good people. I'm gonna put my fingerprint on people rather than have kids. I mean, I like kids, but I also don't like your kids. I don't like anybody's kids. No, but no, I
Oh
think
yes,
I think we're limiting to the amount of kids. We're older, and not older, but I don't need
you
five
are old
kids,
though.
and,
Didn't
and I'm
you like
50.
43 already?
I'm not 43. I'm 34 years old, 35, something like that.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
Do you say
yeah,
34, 35, something like that?
34. Yeah,
You're not 34. You look like you're
just
44.
December 27th,
I'm just
1988.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
still have the same hairstyle as San Diego. It's weird. You didn't get a new one?
Well, no, the Lord told me that I was not allowed to grow any more hair, and being as it that I have to abide by direct orders. Nah, I can't grow hair, man. It's nice though. I save money. It's like a razor blade versus a $15 haircut. So
True, true. Yeah, it's this comb over things in San Diego hasn't gone away either. So,
that's nice.
but that's not here there. Yeah, it is. I have full head of hair. No, I think it's all there in the back.
Yeah.
But that's good though. Hey, I'm glad again. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, this is First Sergeant Williams of Horak. We
Yeah.
met in San Diego, obviously, right? And we've been friends ever since. And hopefully, you
Of
send me
course.
baby registry. That would be great because
I
I
will.
would
No,
like
I
to
will.
take some.
I will right after this.
And okay. So I know how to come to for a quick response.
Snip snap.
Hey, add me on Microsoft Teams for the 8999 group. You know what I mean?
I can't do that.
Oh. Let's see what you're
I'm
doing
kidding.
here. I don't rate.
You can
It's okay. I
request.
don't rate. I can request.
No, do you hey, look, if you pick up First Sergeant or you're in a billet where you need it, they are more than willing to add anybody who needs to be added to that.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's a lifesaver. The sergeants major who run that and organize that are they're angels amongst men because look, you want to talk about doing a lat move in your mid 30s and then trying to just figure it out. Yeah, that's what being a first sergeant's
Oh,
all about. The first sergeant school does an
that's true.
amazing job. I mean, like I wished it was longer and it was a fun time to be alive, but there's nothing like it but trial by fire. So that chat and all the stuff I've collected over the years was money. Save the stuff
Yeah.
you have collected over the years. Save it, because you're gonna need it. Yeah.
That's good. Well, hey, man, again, I appreciate you taking the time to come on this podcast and talk about your experience with toxic leadership,
Anytime.
right? And ladies and gentlemen, it's never going to go away, but we can better talk about it. We can we can communicate better in terms of how we can tackle toxic leadership, right? Because it's never going to go away, ladies and gentlemen. It just,
Correct.
you got to keep moving. You got to keep it moving, keep it moving. Get yourself some tools or a better hoe, to dig, right? Those types to dig. And
that's corny. You need to press a button for that. Press whatever. Wow. There it is. That's terrible. You've lost like 20 followers, 20,000 followers, whatever you have.
Whatever. Very small, but ladies and gentlemen, again, this is First Signs of Horek. Is there anywhere they can reach you at? Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all that, LinkedIn, whatever the case may be?
I'll tell you, I can put out all my handles that I showed you earlier. I have no idea how to find these things. But if you search my last name, Zahorek, Zahorek, you will definitely find me on Facebook, Instagram, and I have Twitter, but I don't use it. But Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, those are the main ones. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Hey, but again, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be on my links below. So if you check this session out, it'll be in the links below. Drop a like, subscribe. If you like what you hear, and then comment. That's what we need. Comment. We need some more constructive criticism, right? Where can we better give to the young Marines that are listening, right? Yeah. And funny talk about demographics. 25 to 35. This is sergeants and above, I think. Maybe staff NCOs.
It is sergeants and staff NCOs, new staff NCOs. Look, you may not agree with everything I said, and that is perfectly fine. That's the great thing about being so diverse in the Marine Corps. Just make sure that the Marines are coming up to you, and a good litmus test as to whether or not you're being a good person or doing the right thing as a leader is them coming up to you and thanking you for the person that you are. If that's not happening and you're going home at every 9 to 5 and no one's thanking you and nobody's telling you how big of a difference you're making, you're not doing it right. And if that makes you upset, I'm sorry, but your litmus test is the Marines. Period.
Yeah, that's good. Somebody said, I can't remember verbatim. You probably don't know him, but retired now, First Sergeant Randall Park. He's going to come on pretty. Yeah. He's going to come on probably next week or the week before after that. Yeah. But he said something that stayed with me. I can't remember verbatim, but if you're making a long-lasting impact when you bring it in and nobody's saying anything.
Yep, because you're listening.
Know what I mean?
Yep, because you're listening. And a second part to that too is that when you're done talking, they're participating. You're getting that full loop of communication, that feedback. Your Marine should feel comfortable coming up to you. I'm not saying gone are the days where the first sergeant is this relic of a human being that nobody wants to approach or bring. You should have. The reason that existed is because we had levels of leadership that the Marines trusted. We have to continue to project that into the future. You have to continue at every single level to be an unbelievable leader, a good person, so that those Marines don't have to go to their first sergeant. They don't have to go to their staff sergeant. Their problems are taken care of at their level. And they're bringing things to you that need your attention, that need your focus.
Yeah.
So again, Marines are the true test of whether or not you're doing your job, whether or not you're being that good person that I speak about.
Hey. We'll talk after, but again.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. How did you feel about coming on? Though? You're nervous?
No, anytime. This was, dude, I was the depot voice for a year and a half. 5,000 people staring at me. I have no problem doing this stuff. This is fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks, Will. I appreciate you taking time again. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Pit Talk. This is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G.
Yep.
We out.
Thank you.
Hey, still recording, huh?
Well, you gotta edit it now, and then you're just gonna put the sound over it and
No,
whatever.